The lunch rush had just started, and the restaurant hummed with quiet elegance. Golden light streamed through arched windows, glinting off the polished cutlery and white linen tablecloths. The scent of rosemary chicken and truffle risotto floated through the air, and the murmur of conversation blended with the gentle clinking of glasses. It was the kind of place where money didn't just talk, it dictated the entire atmosphere. Tucked in the corner, a table sat conspicuously empty, reserved though no one dared to claim it. Every waiter avoided it. That corner was sacred, or cursed, depending on who you asked. Then he walked in. Vincent Barron. The name carried weight. Billionaire. Real estate mogul. Owner of half the skyline and all of the headlines. His reputation preceded him like a thunderclap. Some said he once got a chef fired because his lobster was 2 degrees too cold. Others whispered about the hostess who left in tears after one of his visits. Whatever the truth, no one ever challenged him. They simply braced for impact. Today, he wore a charcoal suit tailored so sharply it looked like it could cut glass. No tie, just an open collar and a gold watch that caught the light like a blade. He didn't wait to be seated. He knew his booth. Knew the rules didn't apply to him. He slid into the corner seat and snapped his fingers. Loud. Twice. Like calling a dog. A few heads turned. A couple went right back to pretending they hadn't heard it. The servers looked at each other, panicked. No one wanted to move. No one wanted to deal with him. Except for her. Alicia had been working there for 3 days. New apron, shoes still stiff, name tag fresh. She didn't carry herself like someone impressed by chandeliers or frightened by money. Tall, poised, with skin the color of polished mahogany and eyes that missed nothing. She was drying glasses when she heard the snap. Looked up. Saw him. Saw everyone else not moving. And then she saw the way he curled his fingers again, expecting obedience, not service. She set the glass down carefully. Walked over. When she stopped at his table, he didn't look up at first. He just held out his hand, still snapping. She didn't move. I'm standing right here, she said, voice even, eyes calm. He finally looked up. His expression shifted from bored to surprised to mildly amused. You're new, he said. Yes. Then let me teach you something. When I call, you come. I didn't know this was a kennel, she replied. A waiter at another table gasped. A spoon clattered to the floor. The silence that followed was loud enough to drown out the music. Vincent's eyes narrowed. Excuse me? You snapped at me like I was a dog, Alicia said, steady. I'm not. If you want service, use words. He studied her for a moment, as if trying to decide whether she was being brave or suicidal. Then he leaned back, slow, like a king humoring a court jester. What's your name? Alicia. Alicia, I could buy this entire building before dessert. You know that, right? She didn't blink. You still wouldn't own me. The audacity of it seemed to hit him square in the chest. For a second, he didn't speak. He just stared at her like she'd spoken another language. Then he smiled. But it wasn't kind. I want the manager. By now, the manager had already been hovering at the edge of the dining room. He rushed over, face pale, suit wrinkled from nerves. Mr. Barron, I am so sorry, he said, already bowing, already sweating. She's new. Still being trained. I'll handle it right away. Vincent didn't look at him. He kept his gaze on Alicia. Fire her. The manager turned, nearly tripping over his words. Alicia, just go take your break. I'll handle this. No, Vincent said. Fire her. Alicia's hands remained at her sides. Her voice didn't rise. You can ask for better service. You can even complain. But you don't get to humiliate people just because you're rich. The room held its breath. The manager pulled her aside so quickly it nearly looked like a dance. What are you doing? He hissed. You don't talk back to him. Ever. I didn't talk back. I stood up. He's our most important client. He owns. I know what he owns. I just don't care. The manager's eyes darted to Vincent, then back. Please, Alicia. Just apologize. Say you were tired. Say you misunderstood. But I didn't. He could crush us. She looked at the ground for a second. Then raised her eyes again. Then maybe we deserve to be crushed if we're okay with this. The manager stepped back like he'd been slapped. Vincent, still watching from the booth, tilted his head. He was quiet now, unusually so. Like a man observing something he couldn't explain. Then he waved a hand. Keep her, he said, voice low but firm. I want to see how long she lasts. The manager flinched. Sir? Vincent smiled thinly. Let's call it entertainment. Alicia didn't move. Didn't smile. Just turned and walked away, back to her station. Every eye in the restaurant followed her. And from that moment on, the game had changed. Everyone avoided the rude billionaire. But now, for the first time, he wasn't the one in control. He had met someone who didn't fear him. And he didn't know what to do with that. He returned the next day, earlier than usual. The staff had barely finished polishing the stemware when Vincent Barron pushed open the door and walked in like he owned the oxygen. His presence sent a ripple through the restaurant. A waiter fumbled a tray of champagne flutes. A hostess pretended to be checking reservations, though her eyes never left him. He didn't wait to be seated. He strode directly to the same booth, the corner one, and sat down like it had been his idea to build the place. A leather briefcase hit the floor beside him with a thud. He crossed his legs, pulled out his phone, and waited. Alicia noticed the hush first. The sudden silence that felt like thunder pulled backward. She was pouring coffee for an older couple when she caught the direction of everyone's attention. And then she saw him. He didn't snap his fingers this time. He simply raised one, like summoning a car. She wiped her hands, straightened her apron, and walked over without a word. Vincent looked up slowly, as if measuring how much patience he felt like having. You're still here. She placed the menu on the table. Of course I am. He tilted his head. Haven't been fired yet? No. Shame. He leaned forward. Today I want something special. Surprise me. She studied him for a second. Any allergies? He grinned like she'd made a joke. Only to incompetence. I'll risk it. She walked away without waiting for approval. The kitchen staff, who had been pretending not to listen, burst into whispered speculation the second she stepped through the doors. Did she just? She didn't even flinch. Yo, she's gonna get us all fired. But the chef, a thick-armed Frenchman named Marcel, just grunted. She's got steel. I like her. Alicia returned with a rosemary-seared duck breast, plated with smoked fig compote and a touch of saffron glaze. She set it down silently. Vincent peered at the dish, unimpressed. He picked up the fork, sniffed it, then let it hover in the air like a verdict. I didn't ask for duck. You asked for something special? He stared at her, fork still raised. Are you always this confident? She smiled faintly. Only when I'm right. He took a bite. Slowly. Chewed like it offended him. Then swallowed. Passable. I'll alert the press. But he didn't send it back. That became the rhythm. Every day, Vincent showed up. Sometimes for lunch. Sometimes just before dinner. Always sitting in the same booth. Always demanding something difficult. And always in Alicia's section. She served him without fear. Without false smiles. Without bending. And he tested her. One afternoon, he complained the wine list was too short. The next day, he claimed his water wasn't balanced enough. He once asked her to recite the entire menu backward, just to see if she would. She didn't. She simply told him, "You can read it forward or leave." Other guests noticed. One evening, a man at the next table leaned over and whispered, "You're brave." Alicia didn't look away from her tray. No. Just not for sale. But the pressure mounted behind the scenes. The manager called her in after closing one night, pacing like a caged animal. "Listen," he started. I'm trying to help you. By asking me to let him treat me like I'm beneath him? He's not just a guest, Alicia. He's him. He tweets about businesses. He could destroy this place overnight. Then maybe it deserves to be destroyed if we sell our dignity for a few likes. The manager ran a hand down his face. You think you're making a point. But you're not the one who'll get blamed when payroll's late or rent spikes. He's not just powerful. He's vindictive. You think you're strong? Fine. But don't make the rest of us collateral damage. She stared at him, eyes hard. You think I want to start a war? He picked me. Not the other way around. And now everyone's watching. He's the one making a show. Then stop giving him an act to respond to. Alicia left the office with a chill under her skin. She didn't sleep that night. Not well. Her phone buzzed once, from an unknown number. No message. Just silence. The next day, he was back. Again. He ordered steak tartare. Then, when it arrived, said he'd meant to say, vegan tasting plate. She offered to switch it. He refused. Said he'd make do. Then barely touched it. When she came to clear the dish, he looked up and said, Do you know why people hate me? I imagine the list is long. He smirked. They think I'm cruel. That I take pleasure in pushing people. In watching them squirm. Is it true? He didn't answer right away. Sometimes. But only because most people do squirm. It's boring. Predictable. You're different. Is that a compliment? It's a puzzle. I don't like puzzles I can't solve. He leaned in. You're not impressed by me. No. Even though I could snap my fingers and turn your life upside down? She leaned in just as close. So could a hurricane. Doesn't mean I admire it. He stared at her like he hadn't heard something so honest in years. The moment stretched too long. Then he leaned back, eyes thoughtful. When she left the table, she felt the burn of everyone's eyes. The other staff. The guests. Even the busboys. The unspoken question lingered in the air. How far would this go? And how much longer could she stand her ground? She was wiping down the counter when she saw him through the window. Not from his usual black town car, not striding in with the arrogance of a man expecting the world to part for him. No, today Vincent Barron stood on the sidewalk, alone, hands in his coat pockets, watching the door like someone unsure of being let inside. It was barely 10 a.m. The restaurant didn't open for another hour. Alicia hesitated, rag in hand, unsure if she should pretend not to see him or open the door and face whatever new performance he had in mind. Curiosity edged out caution. She walked over and opened the door. You're early, she said. He looked up. For once, no smirk. I know. She waited for the usual arrogant quip. None came. I want to walk, he said. Walk? Not far. Just a few blocks. She studied him, then stepped outside and closed the door behind her. You know this isn't a therapy session, right? Maybe it should be. They walked side by side down the quiet street. The city hadn't fully awakened yet. Shops were still closed, sunlight just barely cutting through the chill. He didn't speak for a while, and she didn't press. That silence stretched, not uncomfortable, but uncertain. You remind me of her, he said eventually. Who? My mother. Alicia glanced sideways but said nothing. She used to own a diner. Tiny place. The floors squeaked. The booths had duct tape holding the cushions together. But she made the best damn pancakes on the East Coast. He smiled slightly. She raised me there. Behind the counter. Taught me how to clean a grill, how to handle drunks, how to count change in my head. She sounds decent, Alicia said. She was. Until I thought I was smarter than her. You weren't? He laughed, but there was no joy in it. I went off to college, got rich quick, started building things. When I came back one Thanksgiving, I complained her coffee was too weak. She threw the pot at me. Alicia blinked. Hot? Piping. She shook her head. Good for her. She didn't care how rich I was. Didn't care that I had 20 employees by the time I was 25. To her, I was still the kid who dropped a plate of eggs and cried about it. Alicia folded her arms. So what happened? I bought her building. Thought I was doing her a favor. She never forgave me. Said I turned her dream into a portfolio item. Silence again. More loaded this time. They stopped near a small bench outside an old bookstore. I don't remember the last time someone told me I was wrong and didn't flinch, he said quietly. She looked at him for a moment. You're not used to resistance. No. I bulldoze. I dominate. I've spent decades thinking that meant I was winning. And now? I don't know. She sat on the bench. So what do you want, Vincent? He took a breath. I've watched you handle me with grace I didn't deserve. You're smart, poised, and somehow, still kind. That's rare. I'm not interested in compliments. I know. That's why I'm not offering one. He pulled something from his coat pocket. A folded paper. He handed it to her. She opened it. It was a business proposal. Her name. A restaurant concept. Budget breakdown. Investment figures. Her ideas, drawn from things she'd spoken about in passing. A fusion of Southern soul food and global influence. A community-based eatery. Her dream. You had someone spy on me? She said sharply. No. I listened. She narrowed her eyes. Why would you do this? Because I've broken a lot of things. And for once, I want to build something that doesn't end in bitterness. Alicia handed the paper back. I don't need your money. Maybe not. But you deserve the chance. She stood. This isn't about me. It's about you trying to feel better. Maybe it is. But it doesn't make the offer any less real. She paused. What's the catch? No catch. No equity. No control. Just a fund. You build it. You name it. You run it. I walk away. And why would I trust you? I'm not asking for trust. I'm asking for a chance to do something that isn't hollow. Her gaze didn't waver. You're used to people being grateful to you. I'm not asking for gratitude either. She looked down at the paper again, then folded it slowly. I'll think about it. That's all I wanted. He turned and began to walk away, but she called after him. Why now? He stopped but didn't turn. Because I finally met someone who made me realize power means nothing if it can't make something beautiful. Alicia stayed on the bench long after he was gone, the paper in her hand, heart pounding not from excitement, but from the weight of the decision. Was this a trap wrapped in sincerity? Or had she truly stood tall enough to change something in a man no one dared to confront? And more than that, was she ready to build something of her own, even if it was born from a man like him? The answer wasn't clear yet. But one thing was, this wasn't over. Something had shifted. And everything that came next would change both of their lives forever. The ribbon fluttered in the wind as Alicia held the scissors. The sidewalk outside the new restaurant buzzed with anticipation. Local reporters, neighbors, a few curious food bloggers, and even some of the restaurant's former regulars gathered around, waiting. A hand-painted sign hung proudly above the glass doors, Alicia's table. Clean serif letters, warm ivory background, understated, but powerful. It was hers. The space had once been an old bookstore with cracked windows and dusty floors. Now it gleamed. Inside, the walls were decorated with vibrant artwork from local black artists, each piece chosen for its soul and truth. The tables weren't stiff white linen rectangles like in her last job. They were round, natural wood, made by a craftsman in the Bronx. The chairs were mismatched, intentionally, some cushioned, some smooth-backed, like a family's living room. Jazz floated through the speakers, smooth and slow, wrapping itself around the smell of cornbread and jerk-spice short ribs. She cut the ribbon. Applause broke out. But Vincent Barron wasn't there. He hadn't shown his face since handing her the proposal 3 months ago. No press. No speeches. No sudden tweets claiming credit. Just silence, And maybe that was the greatest gift of all. Alicia walked through the doors and into the space she had built from sketches in the back of her notebook and memories of her grandmother's kitchen. The menu wasn't fancy, but it was intentional. Every dish had a story, a purpose. The gumbo was from New Orleans. The curried lentils from her Jamaican side. There was lemon pound cake, warm and dense, exactly like her mom made when money was tight but love was plenty. The first night was a blur. Every seat filled. The staff, many of them young, first-time servers from the neighborhood, moved like they were part of a dance. Imperfect but joyful. Alicia stayed on the floor, not as a manager barking orders but as a presence. She checked plates. She smiled. She listened. Some guests recognized her from the old place. "You're the one who stood up to that billionaire, right?" She offered a small smile. "I'm just the one who remembered who I am." The buzz grew. By the end of the second week, there was a line down the block. Food critics started showing up. One headline read, asterisk, "Dignity, Duck, and Defiance. Alicia's table redefines power dining." Asterisk. She didn't care about the stars or the social media posts. What mattered were the people walking in who had never felt welcome in places like this. What mattered were the single mothers bringing their kids, the elderly couples who took their time, and the kids who pointed at the murals and asked questions. One afternoon, a girl no older than 10 waited until her mother paid the bill and then walked up to Alicia with shy eyes. "Are you the lady who told the rich man off?" Alicia laughed softly. "I suppose I am. Didn't you get scared?" "Sometimes. But I did it anyway." The girl's eyes lit up. "I want to be like that." "You already are," Alicia said, and handed her a slice of pound cake wrapped in wax paper. "On the house." Later that night, after the last chair had been pushed in and the lights dimmed low, Alicia sat alone in the back corner with a steaming mug of ginger tea. The same booth where Vincent Barron used to sit, only now it wasn't his anymore. It belonged to the people. She opened the drawer beneath the table. Inside was the original proposal he had given her, still folded, edges a little frayed. She had kept it not as a reminder of him, but of the moment she realized she didn't need permission to build her dream. Only a door. And the courage to walk through it. The door creaked open. She looked up. He stood there in a dark coat, no entourage, no pretense. Just a man who looked older than he had before. Softer. "I didn't want to come in during the day," he said. "Didn't want people thinking I was taking credit." She nodded. "Smart." He stepped in and looked around. "It's beautiful." "I know." He walked slowly to the booth and sat across from her, glancing at the worn paper she hadn't hidden. "You kept it." "Not for you." "I figured." They sat in silence for a moment. "Everyone's talking about this place," he said. "You've built something real." "That was the point." He nodded. "I've spent a lot of time building towers. Companies. Things that rise fast and cast long shadows. But none of them ever felt warm like this." She sipped her tea. "Then maybe you've been building the wrong things." "I think so." Another silence. But it wasn't heavy this time. "I didn't come to interrupt," he said. "Just to see it." "See you?" "Why now?" "Because I owed you that. And because you reminded me of something I forgot." "Which is?" "That people don't follow power. They follow integrity." Alicia leaned back. "Then start leading with it." He looked at her for a long moment, then stood. "I'll leave you to your peace." He walked toward the door but paused. "One last thing," he said, turning halfway. "This place, what you've done, it's the best investment I've ever made." She smiled faintly. "Good. Because it's the last one you'll make here." He chuckled. "Fair enough." And then he was gone. The bell above the door chimed quietly as it shut behind him. Alicia looked around at the empty restaurant, the space full of stories, of meals yet to be served, of people yet to be seen. She felt no fear. No regret. No need to explain herself to anyone. She was no longer the waitress. She was the one who owned the table. And sometimes, the most powerful seat in the room wasn't at the head, it was the one that refused to bow.